ॐ नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तन्तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। Shloka 8 and Shloka 9. We have seen the meaning. We'll just read them. Abhyasa yoga yuktena cetasa nanya-gamina paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayan kavim puranamanushasitaram anoraniyam samanusmaredyaha sarvasya dhataramachintya rupam aditya varnam tamasah parastat So, in Shloka 7, Bhagavan instructed Arjuna to remember him all the time. Sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara. So, how to remember Bhagavan all the time, how to think about Bhagavan all the time, with what attributes one should think. All such details have to be told. That is why these two verses are presented. So, kincha abhyasayogayuktena mayi चित्तसमर्पण विषयीभूते एकस्मिन् तुल्यप्रत्ययावृत्तिलक्षणः विलक्षणप्रत्ययानन्तरितः विलक्षणप्रत्यय अनन्तरितः अभ्यासः सच अभ्यासः योगः तेन युक्तं तत्रैव व्यापृतं योगिनश्चेतः तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना नान्यत्र विषयान्तरे गन्तुं शीलम् अस्य इति नान्यगामी तेन नान्यगामिना परमं निरतिशयं पुरुषं दिव्यं दिवि सूर्यमण्डले भवम् याति गच्छति हे पार्थ अनुचिन्तयन् शास्त्राचार्योपदेशम् अनु ध्यायन् इत्येतत्. Anudhyayan is together. That's fine. Anu means Shastra Acharyopadesham Anu. So, yeah. So, that's fine. It can be together also, or it can be taken separately also. So, better to take it separately. Shastra Acharyopadesham Anu Dhyayan. So, Kincha, moreover, so certain other details have to be given with respect to remembering Bhagavan all the time, thinking about Bhagavan all the time, and thinking about Bhagavan during death. So, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. So, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa. Chetas means Chittam, mind. The mind which is Abhyasa Yoga Yukta, which is endowed with the Abhyasa Yoga. So, Bhashyakara explains Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. Mayi chitta samarpana vishayi bhute ekasmin tulya pratyayavritti lakshanaha vilakshana pratyayanantaritaha abhyasaha. So, what is Abhyasa? Abhyasa means upasanam. So, Abhyasa. Here Abhyasa refers to upasanam. So, what is Abhyasa? Repeating the similar thoughts and making them continuous without the interference of dissimilar thoughts is called Abhyasa. Mayi chitta samarpana vishayi bhute ekasmin. Mayi, on me. Who is chitta samarpana vishayi bhuta? Bhagavan is the Vishaya of Chitta Samarpana, focus of mind. He is the object of the focus of mind. Chitta Samarpana Vishayi Bhute Mayi. Ekasmin, only in me. Tulya Pratyayavritti Lakshanaha. So, Abhyasaha. Abhyasa is nothing but Tulya Pratyaya Avritti, repetition of similar thoughts, dealing with only one object, that is Paramatma, and it is Vilakshana Pratyaya Anantaritaha. It is not intervened by Vilakshana Pratyaya, dissimilar thoughts. It is called Abhyasa. Sacha Abhyasaha Yogaha. This Abhyasa is Yogaha, focus of mind. Abhyasa is practice of focus of mind. Therefore, it is called Yogaha. So, Abhyasa itself is Yoga. Tena Yuktam, endowed with that, means Tatraiva Vyapratam. Tena Yuktam means Tatraiva Vyapratam. engaged in that only, engaged in abhyasa yoga only. Yoginah chetaha. What is engaged? Yoginah chetaha. The mind of a yogi, the mind of an upasaka. Tena chetasa. By that kind of mind, by the mind which is engaged in abhyasa yoga, engaged in constant practice of upasanam, नान्यगामिना नान्यत्र विषयांतरे गंतुम शीलम अस्येति नान्यगामि तेन नान्यगामिना. So because of constant practice of focus, because of regular practice of upasanam, the mind starts abiding in the object of upasana. The mind starts abiding in Paramatma. That is when it can be said Nanyagami. It does not go elsewhere. Nanyagamina. Anyatra. So Nanyatra. So Vishayantare. Anyatra means Vishayantare. Towards other objects, anything other than Paramatma, Gantum Sheelam na asya, Gantum Sheelam asya na asti. It does not have the habit of going elsewhere. It is called Nanyagami. Anyatra विषयांतरे गंतुम शीलम न अस्ति अस्या इति नान्यगामि. तेन नान्यगामिना चेतसा. This is another adjective of Nanyagami. Means the mind spontaneously abides, effortlessly abides in Paramatma. So even if once in a while it may go here and there, but it will not stay there. Again it will come back. Paramatma has become the center of gravity of the mind. So that is how, there is a doll. Even if you put the doll down, it will become straight. How? Because the center of gravity is designed in such a way. The doll is designed in such a way with the center of gravity that it will come up because it has a tendency to, the center of gravity determines in what position an object should lie. Like for example, if I put this like this, it will not stand this way. It will sit this way only. Because that is where the center of gravity is. So it becomes the nature of mind, Sheela. It is the Sheela. Sheela means the natural disposition of an object. Likewise, a trained mind, a mind which has practiced adequate upasanam, it stays in Paramatma without effort. So, Nanyagamina Chetasa Paramam. So, Paramam means Niratishayam, unsurpassable, supreme, Purusham, Divyam, Divyam is Divi Surya Mandale Bhavam Divyam. One who is present in Duloka. And Bhashyakara takes Divi as Surya Mandale. Duloka, Div Shabda we have seen yesterday. So Div Shabda, Divi Saptami Ekavachanam. So here Div means Surya Mandala. Surya Mandale Bhavam, who is present in Surya Mandala. Means Surya Mandala is taken as a pratika. Surya is taken as a pratika for Paramatma. Yati, Gacchati, He Partha, Anuchintayan. So Chetasa, Anuchintayan. Anuchintayan means Dhyayan, meditating. There is Anu. Anu means following. Anu has the meaning of following. Following what? Shastracharyopadesham Anu. Following the Shastra Acharya Upadesha. Chintayan means dhyayan, meditating, doing upasana. Ityetat. So next shloka, Bhashya. Kim vishishtam sa purush, kim vishishtam cha purusham yati. Iti uchyate. Kavim. Krantadarshinam. Sarvajñam. Puranam. Chirantanam. Anushasitaram. Sarvasya jagataha. Prashasitaram. Anoho. Sukshmadapi. Aniyamsam. Sukshmataram. Anusmaret. Anuchintayet. Yah kashchit. Sarvasya. Karmaphala jatasya. Dhataram. Vichitrataya. Pranibhyaha. Vibhaktaram. Vibhajyadataram. Achintyarupam. Nasyarupam. Niyatam vidyamanam iti. Sorry. Niyatam vidyamanamapi. Kenachit. Chintayitum shakyate iti. Achintyarupam. Achintyarupah. Tam. Achintyarupam. Tam adityavarnam. Adityasya iva. Nitya chaitanya prakashaha. Varnaha. Yasyatam. Adityavarnam. Tamasah parastat. Ajnana lakshanat. Mohandhakarat. Param. तं अनुचिन्तयन् याति इति पूर्वेणैव सम्बन्धः So, kyum vishishtanta purusham yati. What kind of purusha he attains? So, yati parthanu chintayan is told. He attains that purusha. Paramam purusham divyam. So, kyum vishishtanta purusham. What are the other qualifications of that purusha whom he attains? Iti uchyate kavim. The purusha is kavi. Kavi means krantadarshinam. Kavi is krantadarshi. So, krantadarshi means one who sees beyond. One who sees beyond the ordinary intellect is called Krantadarshi. And here Krantadarshi means Sarvajnam. Sarvajna. His domain of knowledge is beyond ordinary intellect. Means he knows everything. So, Puranam means Chirantanam, eternal. Anushasitaram, he is the ruler of the whole universe. Sarvasya jagataha prashasitaram. Anoho aniyamsam. Anoho, anu means sukshma. Anu should not be understood as size here, not size anu. Anu means sukshma, subtle. Anoho, sukshmadapi aniyamsam means sukshmataram. Subtler than the subtle. Subtle is sukshma sharira. Manas, buddhi ityadi are subtle. It is more subtle than the sukshma sharira also. Therefore, anoho aniyamsam. Anusmaret means anuchintayet. Meditates. Yaha kaschit, anybody meditates, anybody who meditates on this kind of purusha. Further description. Sarvasya dhataram. Here sarvasya means karma phalajatasya. The collection of karma phala. The group of karma phala. Karma phala jatasya. So, sarva means karma phala jata. All results of karma. Sarvasya karma phala jatasya dhataram. Dhataram means vibhaktaram. He divides and gives to each individual what should be his karma phala. It is given, distributed to him. Because karma phalas are vichitra, vichitrataya. Since the karma phalas are vichitra, every karma does not have a uniform phala. So, karma phala varies. There are varieties. Therefore, there has to be someone to determine which karma should get which phala. Pranibhyaha vibhaktaram. vibhajyadataram. Vibhaktaram means vibhajyadataram, one who divides and gives the karma phala to the pranis, to the jivas, vichitrataya, in varieties. Achintya Rupam, he is Achintya Rupa. Achintya Rupa means na asya rupam niyatam vidyamanamapi kenachit chintayitum shakyate iti Achintya Rupam. He has Rupa. See, Achintya Rupa means whose Rupa cannot be thought about, whose Rupa, whose nature cannot be the object of thought. He is called Achintya Rupa. Means you cannot visualize the nature of Paramatma. But does it mean that he does not have a Rupa at all? Does it mean that he does not have any nature at all? It is not so. He has a nature. Asya Rupam. Here Rupa should be understood as nature, not color or form. Asya Rupam Niyatam Vidyamanamapi. Even though he has a definite nature, Niyatam, a definite nature is there. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Ityadi. It is the definite Swarupa of Brahman, of Paramatma. Even though such a nature is there, Vidyamanam api na kenachit chintayitum shakyate. Kenachit chintayitum na shakyate. But you cannot think about it. You cannot objectify the nature. You cannot visualize the nature because it is beyond the domain of the mind. Cannot be objectified by the mind. Iti Achintya Rupam. Therefore, he is Achintya Rupaha, tam Achintya Rupam. Aditya Varnam. Adityasya iva Nitya Chaitanya Prakashaha Varnaha Yasya tam Aditya Varnam. Aditya Varnam, whose nature is like Aditya, he is called Aditya Varna. So, Varna literally means color. Here it is not color, here it is nature. Whose nature is like Aditya. What is the similarity with Aditya? Effulgence. Adityasya iva, like Aditya. Nitya Chaitanya Prakashaha. Nitya Chaitanya Prakashaha. The eternal consciousness which is Prakasha, which is like light, light of lights. Varnaha Yasya. It is his Varna, it is his Swarupa. Tam Aditya Varnam. He is called Aditya Varna. Tamasah Parastat. And he transcends tamas, maya. Ajnana Lakshanat Mohandhakarat Param. So tamas means ajnana. Ajnana Lakshanat Tamasaha. The tamas, darkness, which is in the form of ajnana, which is mohandhakara. It is an andhakara, a darkness which causes moha, delusion. That kind of andhakara is ajnana. Paramatma transcends such ajnana. Tam anuchintayan, meditating on that, yati iti purvena eva sambandhaha. Anuchintayan yati, this should be connected with the previous shloka. So tam anuchintayan yati. It should be connected with the previous one. So the anvaya should be done together, this verse and the previous verse. Next shloka. प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य संयक् सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्. Yeah. So, prayanakali. So now Bhagavan describes further description of how one should remember Bhagavan during prayana kala, during the last breath. The previous verses talked about remembering Bhagavan constantly so that one can remember Bhagavan during death. Now he is giving some technique. Some technique to remember Bhagavan during the last moment. So, prayana kale. So, this has to be done during prayana kala, marana samaye, during death, before death. How does he know that he is going to die? This yogi will get to know that he is going to die, and to some extent he can even choose his time of death. So, prayana kale, during death, achalena manasa, with achala manas, with undistracted mind, bhaktya yoga balena chaiva yuktaha. He is endowed with the bhakti and he is endowed with the yoga bala, the strength of concentration, which he has already cultivated because of a prolonged practice of upasana, a regular practice of upasana. So he has bhakti and yoga bala. Bhaktya yoga balena chaiva yuktaha. Achalena manasa, with steady mind, bhruvor madhye pranam samyak aveshya. He makes his prana come to bhrumadhya, bhruvor madhye, in the middle of two eyebrows. Samyak, properly, pranam aveshya, bringing the prana, making the prana enter here. Bhumadhya. So there is a technique of leaving the body. So this is the technique of leaving the body, which is described in various Upanishads also. Even in Taittiriya Upanishad, we come across this technique. So certain upasanas, they involve the practice of this technique also. Gati Chintanam. It is a practice of, it is a component of the upasana. So, and if a yogi has practiced this technique, he can leave the body at will, deliberately, consciously, he can leave the body. So now here somebody might ask, should everyone practice this technique? Then some Vyakhyanakara says, it is not so. Every upasaka need not have practiced this technique. Even among upasakas, there are two types of upasakas. One is a Jita Prana or Jitasu. He is a kind of upasaka who has mastery over his prana, and he has mastered the technique of, ejecting the prana from the body. He is called Jitasu. And then there is another type of person called Ajitasu. Ajitasu means he has not mastered that technique, but he remembers Bhagavan all the time. He has done lot of upasana. So both type of yogis, both type of upasakas will remember Bhagavan during last moment. But what is the difference? A Jitasu can leave the body deliberately. He can choose when he has to leave the body, whereas an Ajitasu will not be able to do it. He has to wait for Bhagavan to take him. But then he will remember, he will think about Bhagavan and leave the body whenever the last moment comes. So now he is talking about the technique of leaving the body, how an upasaka leaves the body. An upasaka who is a Jitasu leaves the body. So, Bhruvor Madhye Pranam Samyak Aveshya Sahatam Param Divyam Purusham Upaiti. He attains that Purusha who is Divya, who is present in Aditya Mandala. So, Kincha Prayana Kale Marana Kale Manasa Achalena Prachalana Varjitena Bhaktya Yuktaha Bhajanam Bhaktihi Taya Yuktaha Yoga Balena Chaiva Yogasya Balam Yoga Balam. Yogasya Bale. What is there after that? Yogasya Balam. Yogasya Balam Yoga Balam. Tena Samadhija Samskara Prachaya Janita Chittasthirya Lakshanam Yoga Balam तेन च युक्तः इत्यर्थः। पूर्वं हृदयपुण्डरीके वशीकृत्य चित्तं ततः ऊर्ध्वगामिन्या नाड्या भूमिजयक्रमेण भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणम् आवेश्य स्थापयित्वा सम्यक् अप्रमत्तः सन् सः एवं बुद्धिमान् योगी कविं पुराणम् इत्यादि लक्षणं तं परं पुरुषम् उपैति प्रतिपद्यते दिव्यं द्योतनात्मकम्। किंच मोरोवर प्रयाणकाले मीन्स मरणकाले, ड्यूरिंग डेथ, मनसा अचलेन, अचलेन मीन्स प्रचलन वर्जितेन मनसा, with the mind that is free from distractions, free from turbulences, free from movements, means focused mind. Bhaktya yuktaha, bhaktihi means bhajanam, so devotion is called bhaktihi. Taya yuktaha, endowed with the bhakti, he has cultivated bhakti. And yoga balena chaiva yuktaha, yogasya balam yoga balam tena yuktaha. And what is yoga balam? Bhashyakara explains, samadhija samskara prachaya janita chittasthairya lakshanam yoga balam. Samadhija samskara prachaya janita chittasthairya lakshanam yoga balam. So yoga bala is the chittasthairya, the steadiness of mind, and it is brought about by samadhija samskara prachaya, the accumulation of the samskara born of samadhi. So samadhi means practice of concentration. Repeated practice of concentration produces a samskara in the mind. Repeated practice of concentration produces samskaras in the mind. Like for example, if you practice half an hour concentration today, it adds to the samskara. To some extent, you get the samskara of steadiness of mind. So, every practice of concentration adds to the samskara of the mind. So, thus, repeated practice of concentration leads to prachaya, samskara prachaya. The samskara increases. So, growth of samskara. The growth of samskara brought about by samadhi. So, when the samskara brought about by samadhi, samadhija samskara grows when it accumulates, becomes stronger and stronger by repeated practice of samadhi. So, here see samadhija samskara. The samskara brought about by samadhi, its prachaya, its growth, its enhancement, and it happens because of repeated practice of samadhi. That produces a chitta sthairya, a steadiness of mind. So, with the repeated practice of samadhi, the mind starts remaining steady. So, the mind gets trained to remain steady through repeated practice of samadhi. That is called yoga bala. So, samadhija samskara prachaya janita chitta sthairya lakshanam yoga balam. The yoga bala is nothing but the chitta sthairya, which is brought about by the increment, the accumulation of samadhija samskara. Tena cha yuktaha ityarthaha. He is endowed with that also. So, purvam, read. Purvam, we have read. Purvam, see how he brings the prana to bhumadhya and how he leaves the body. Bhashyakara describes it based on certain other texts. The whole technique is not given here. It is just an indication. It is elaborated in some other texts, like in some smritis and puranas, also in some Upanishads it is explained. So, purvam, first what he has to do when the yogi decides to leave the body, he will sit in meditation and hridaya pundarike vashikritya chittam. He focuses his mind on hridaya pundarika, on the heart which is lotus shaped, hridaya pundarike, the heart lotus. In that chittam vashikritya, focusing the mind on that. Tataha, then urdhvagaminya nadya bhumijaya kramena, then bhumijaya. So, bhumijaya kramena. So, through the order of bhumijaya. So, first he does bhumijaya. Bhumijaya is described in two ways. So, one description of Bhumijaya is found in Anandagiri. Bhumijaya kramena ityatra bhumyadinam panchanam bhutanam jayaha vashikaranam. So, Bhumi stands for Panchabhuta. Panchabhuta Jaya, conquering the five elements. So, he has to conquer the five elements, means he has to bring all the five elements under his control. That is a technique. So, then he can move his sharira, his sukshma sharira, prana, etc. at his will. That is Bhumijaya. The Panchabhutas means the five subtle elements, he has to bring them under his control. So, that is Bhumijaya. It is one definition of Bhumijaya. But then there is another description of Bhumijaya. Bhumi means certain stages. Bhumi stands for certain stages. And in the Yoga Shastra, as far as the concentration is concerned, the concentration of mind happens in certain stages. It is given in Yoga Shastra. And this increasing the concentration in stages is called Bhumijaya. And there are certain stages given in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra also. So, Tasya Bhumishu Viniyogaha. There is a Yoga Sutra. Vibhuti-pada, 6th Sutra, I suppose. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. There, this Bhumijaya is described. So, Bhumijaya Kramena. So, through Bhumijaya, one has to increase the concentration, enhance the concentration, and then Urdhvagaminya Nadya. Then he brings the prana together. His prana is withdrawn from the body, and the prana is made to stand here, first in the heart. Then he leads the prana through Sushumna Nadi, Urdhvagaminya Nadya, through the Nadi which goes upwards from the heart. Tataha, from the heart, Urdhvagaminya Nadya, through the Nadi which moves upwards. So, then he takes the prana to the Bhrumadhya. Bhruvor Madhye Pranam Aveshya. Aveshya means Sthapayitva, placing the prana in the middle of the Bhru. So, Samyak means Apramattaha san, without doing any pramada, without being careless. He has to be extremely careful in doing all these things. Saha evam buddhiman yogi. In this manner, Saha means the buddhiman yogi, the yogi who is very wise. Kavim Puranam ityadi lakshanam tam param purusham upaiti pratipadyate. So, Kavim Puranam ityadi lakshanam param purusham, the Parapurusha, the Paramatma, who is described previously as Kavim Puranam ityadi, that kind of Paramatma. Upaiti means pratipadyate, he attains. Divyam, divyam is another adjective of the Purusha. Divyam means Dyotanatmakam, who is effulgent in nature. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.